You know, in each of our lives, there are moments that arrive unexpectedly. No noise, no warning, just a fleeting moment, barely the length of a single breath, yet powerful enough to change everything. A moment when you no longer accept the pain, when you no longer settle for empty promises, when you stop breaking your own heart just to keep someone else comfortable. That moment is the moment of awakening, the moment when a super empath, someone who once forgave unconditionally, loved without limits, finally rises, looks the narcissist straight in the eye, and quietly walks away. The beauty of it is this: that moment doesn't come in a blaze of rage. It doesn't explode in anger or tears. It arrives with a deep, breathtaking calm, a clarity that leaves no room for confusion. Because when a super empath walks away, they're not just leaving a person behind. They are walking away from illusions, from power games, from years of silent wounds. They are choosing themselves, with grace and with quiet pride. Today, I'm not here to recount your pain. I'm not here to emphasize your losses. I'm here to walk beside you into the most powerful journey a human being can undertake. The journey of reclaiming yourself. Because the greatest victory in life isn't about defeating others. It's about overcoming the chains that once held your soul captive. And that is exactly what happens the day a super empath decides to walk away. Our society often glorifies grand battles and public victories, but few understand that sometimes the greatest triumph happens in silence. In the quiet moment when someone lets go of their pain and steps into freedom. No stage lights, no applause, just the peace flooding your soul like the first light after a raging storm. If you've ever been in a relationship where you had to ask for permission just to exist, where you constantly doubted yourself, where love became a twisted game of control, then you know the immeasurable value of that moment. It's the moment you stop seeking validation from others and start affirming your own worth from within. It's the moment you no longer wonder if you are enough, because you realize you always were. In this journey together, we will explore why those with the biggest hearts are often the ones who are hurt the most. We will expose the manipulative tactics of narcissists, and most importantly, we will discover how to not just survive, but rise stronger than ever before. If you've ever felt like you gave too much, endured too long, and loved so deeply that you lost yourself, know this: you were never wrong for loving. You just need to learn how to love in the right way, starting with yourself. Today is not a day for mourning. Today is not a day for resentment. Today is the day you look at yourself in the mirror and smile. I've walked through the storm, and now I will soar higher than ever before. And if you're ready, fasten your seatbelt, because from this moment on, we're not just talking about leaving, we're talking about flying. Let's begin. To truly understand why the moment a super empath walks away is so extraordinary, we first need to understand who exactly is a super empath. Because they are not just people who know how to empathize, they are not simply sensitive souls or kind-hearted individuals. A super empath is a rare type of spirit, an extraordinary fusion of deep sensitivity and inner strength. They are the ones who can feel emotions so profoundly that they can read the hidden pain behind a single glance, a breath, a silence. When they walk into a room, they don't just hear what's being said, they sense what's left unspoken. They know when someone is hurting, even if that person's smile is still perfectly in place. They pick up on signals the busy world often overlooks. But their strength doesn't lie in empathy alone. A super empath possesses something even rarer, an unwavering loyalty to the goodness they believe exists in everyone. They are patient, they love with their entire being, convinced that with enough love, any heart can heal. And ironically, it is this very trait that makes them the ideal target for narcissists. Because for a narcissist, someone who lives in a constant void of self-worth, the pure light of a super empath is like a beacon in the night. They are drawn not by real love, but by the limitless energy a super empath offers: admiration, forgiveness, compassion, and boundless patience. In those moments, The super empath doesn't yet realize they are stepping into an invisible battlefield, a battle where their goodness will be weaponized against them, a battle where every act of forgiveness, every hope, every second chance they give chips away a little more of their own soul. You see, a super empath is not weak, they are not foolish, they are not naive. They simply have a heart so vast that they keep seeing potential, even in those who are hurting them. They keep trying to explain cruelty through the lens of compassion. They keep thinking, maybe they're hurting too. Maybe they just need more patience. Maybe if I love them enough, they will change. And that is the sweet trap the narcissist sets. An ordinary person might spot the red flags early and walk away. But a super empath, with their ever-trusting heart, they stay until they can no longer recognize themselves in the mirror. They stay until the love they once gave to others begins to kill the love they have for themselves. But remember this, a super empath never truly falls. Beneath the wounds, beneath the shattered self-trust, there is still a flickering flame, the flame of integrity, of unquenchable compassion, and when that flame reignites, it transforms them from a soul who endures into a soul who rises higher than the pain. Super empaths are those who can love the deepest, but once they learn to love themselves first, they become the fiercest warriors. They don't just heal themselves, they inspire others to reclaim their worth too. So never underestimate the power of a heart that has been broken. Because in those broken pieces, a super empath learns how to be reborn, no longer built on the dreams of others, but on the undeniable truth of who they are. And the day they walk away, not in anger, not in hatred, but in the quiet force of self-liberation, that is not just the day they free themselves, it's the day they step into a brand new life, a life no longer ruled by fear, or by the desperate need for approval from those who never truly loved them. On that day, a super empath doesn't just leave a toxic relationship. They step into the radiant freedom they were always meant to claim. And their journey, it has only just begun. Once we understand who the super empath truly is, a natural question arises. Why are these beautiful souls so magnetically drawn to narcissists? And why are narcissists so magnetically drawn to them? It's not random, it's not blind misfortune. It's the result of a deep psychological law, a dangerous dance between light and darkness. Because behind the narcissist's mask of confidence and charm lies a depleted soul, an inner void crying out to be filled. They crave admiration, validation, and most of all, the emotional energy they cannot create within themselves. And no one offers love, acceptance, and unwavering belief more abundantly than a super empath. From the very first encounter, a super empath shines with sincerity, with the ability to see goodness even in the most broken fragments of another's soul. Where the world might turn away, the super empath, where others see wounds, the super empath sees potential for healing. And that light, the light of unconditional compassion and unwavering faith, becomes the very thing the narcissist craves most and fears the most. You see, narcissists do not love the way ordinary people love. They are not seeking genuine connection. They are seeking reflection, the mirror that shows them an idealized image they cannot sustain on their own. And the super empath, with their limitless compassion and loyalty, at first becomes that perfect mirror. In the beginning, the narcissist appears flawless, charming, profound, seemingly in perfect sync with the empath. They cheerfully roll out the red carpet, with sweet gestures, extravagant compliments, and grand promises of eternal love. The super empath, true to their nature, opens their heart. But slowly, silently, things begin to shift. Once the narcissist has quenched their initial thirst for attention, they begin to feel threatened by the very light that once drew them in. The integrity of the super empath exposes the narcissist's hidden shame. The purity of the super empath shines a light on the darkness they desperately try to conceal, and instead of nurturing love, the narcissist starts to sabotage it. How? By planting seeds of doubt, by using gaslighting, twisting reality to make the empath doubt their own intuition, by subtly criticizing, belittling and comparing, slowly eroding the empath's sense of self-worth. The heartbreaking truth is, the more wounded the super empath feels, the harder they try to heal the narcissist, the more they are diminished, the harder they fight to prove their love. This is the devastating trap the narcissist sets, and the pure heart of a super empath is often the one that falls into it most easily. But remember, the fault is not in their kindness. The fault is not in their ability to love deeply. The danger only arises when that kindness is not paired with boundaries. Narcissists don't come to super empaths because they value that love. They come because they are starving, desperate to consume the emotional energy that the empath so freely offers, to fill the gaping void inside them. And once that supply of energy no longer feeds their wounded ego, they turn around and hurt the very person who loved them the most. That is not love. It is consumption. Super empaths are not weak. They are spiritual warriors. But in this battle, they need a weapon their heart often urges them to forget. The ability to distinguish between love and self-destruction. The painful truth is, pure light always draws darkness, not because the light is weak, but because darkness seeks to capture it, to warm itself by its glow, even if it must destroy it in the process. And that is why beautiful, radiant souls like super empaths must learn a sacred lesson. Not everyone deserves your light. Not everyone who cries for help truly wants to be saved. Not everyone who needs you deserves to stay in your life. And understanding this is the first step for a super empath to reclaim their freedom, to live their highest calling, and to no longer be a prisoner of souls unwilling to grow. Because true light, once protected, doesn't just shine for itself, it shines for the whole world. Once you understand why the light of a super empath attracts narcissists, you'll also begin to see a harsher truth. Manipulation is not random. It's a strategy, a weapon, a carefully orchestrated plan, deployed step by step to take control of your heart and mind before you even realize you've become a victim. A narcissist doesn't love you the way you love them. They're not seeking companionship. They're seeking power. And to achieve it, they have no hesitation in turning your love into chains that bind you. It begins with the idealization phase. In the early days, they make you feel like you are the most extraordinary person they've ever met. They shower you with excessive praise, making you believe this relationship is destiny, that you two are meant to be. All the sweet words, grand gestures, and promises of a perfect future, all carefully designed to build emotional dependence. Once you start to trust, to open your heart, to invest your hope into the relationship, the second phase begins. Edevolation. Subtly, almost imperceptibly, they begin to tear you down. Not with obvious attacks, but with small, precise cuts. A mocking comment about your appearance, a smirk when you express your feelings, a casual comparison that slices deep like a knife. Each small action becomes a crack in your self-esteem, making you question your own worth. And then, when you're confused and disoriented, they move to the third phase. Discard. With chilling coldness, they turn away. Maybe they find someone new. Maybe they become emotionally distant. Or they make you feel like every problem in the relationship is your fault, that you're too sensitive, too needy, not good enough. And the more you cling, the more you try to explain, to prove your worth, the easier it becomes for them to tighten their control. You see it now? This is not love. This is a game of chess. The narcissist isn't looking for a partner. They're hunting for prey. And to maintain their dominance, they deploy an arsenal of sophisticated psychological tactics. Gaslighting, making you question your own reality, denying things they said or did until you wonder if you're overreacting or imagining things. Triangulation, bringing in third parties to provoke jealousy and insecurity, keeping you off balance. Silent treatment, withdrawing into punishing silence, leaving you desperate to know what you did wrong, who are hardly more than superficial. Automatic happiness replaces any other helpful behavior we may wish we'd had. Hoovering. When you try to leave, they lure you back with false promises of change, crocodile tears, and desperate pleas. All these tactics serve one purpose: to make you lose faith in yourself and become completely dependent on them for validation. And the most painful part, the super empath, with their endlessly loving and patient heart, is the perfect target for this cruel game, because they always want to believe love can heal. They always want to offer just one more chance. They always think, if I just love a little deeper, a little longer, maybe everything can be fixed. But you cannot heal someone who doesn't recognize they are wounded. You cannot fill a bottomless well. And every day you stay, every time you forgive the unforgivable, you lose another piece of yourself. That is the true cost of this game, the slow, steady erosion of your own soul. But make no mistake, no one truly has power over you unless you give it to them. And that is where the real strength of a super empath begins to emerge, not by fighting the narcissist, not by trying to win a game designed for you to lose, but by stepping away from the board altogether, by standing up quietly, reclaiming your worth, and walking away without a single word of justification. Because the greatest victory isn't making them regret losing you. The greatest victory is that you no longer need them to. Suppressed behavior. There's something strange about relationships built on manipulation. The collapse never happens with a scream. It happens in the quietest moments. A glance, a careless remark, a silence that stretches too long. And then, as if the fog that clouded your mind for so long suddenly tears apart, you begin to see everything clearly. It's not rage. It's not a final, explosive argument. It's a moment of awakening, profound, silent, but irreversible. You realize that real love never makes you feel small. You realize that love is not the same as endless endurance. You realize that a relationship should never require you to sacrifice your inner peace for fleeting scraps of validation. And when that truth pierces through every layer of denial, everything becomes clearer than ever before. You look back. You remember every time you apologized for having legitimate feelings. You remember every time you convinced yourself it's not that bad. You see all the times you swallowed your own needs, silently accepting less than you deserved, just to hold on to an illusion. And then, for the first time in a long time, you trust your feelings more than their words. That is the turning point, because from that moment on, the power starts to shift back into your hands. You no longer panic when they go silent. You no longer crave the tiny crumbs of affection they used to toss your way. You no longer hurt yourself to maintain a relationship built on imbalance. You begin to ask yourself new questions. What is my worth really worth? What is the price I'm paying to stay? Who could I become if I no longer had to survive this game? And when you start asking those questions, you are no longer standing still. You are shifting from surviving to reclaiming, from being a victim to becoming your own authority. The most beautiful thing about awakening is that it doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't need an apology. It doesn't need the narcissist to admit they were wrong. It only needs you to believe yourself, to trust the feelings you spent so long trying to bury, to know that even if no one else recognizes your truth, it is still the truth. From that moment on, every step you take carries a new weight, the weight of your freedom being reclaimed. You begin to speak less but think more. You begin to react less but feel more deeply. You start seeing every tactic, every manipulative pattern, every hollow promise, and instead of reacting like you once did, you simply smile inwardly. Because now you see the game for what it is. You're no longer a participant. You have become an observer. And that is the unmistakable sign that your new era has begun. You don't need anyone to tell you that you deserve better. You don't need anyone to rescue you from the pain. You have found your own way out, lit by the light inside you. That moment, though silent, roars louder than any bell, marks the collapse of invisible chains and the birth of someone new, strong, free, and never looking back. After that moment of awakening, a new door quietly opens. There's no triumphant music, no fireworks lighting up the sky, only a deep internal shift beginning to take place. The journey of rebuilding yourself. You no longer try to save the one who hurt you. You no longer see your love as a tool to change someone else. For the first time in a very long time, you realize that the only person you are responsible for saving is yourself. The journey of rebuilding doesn't start with grand gestures. It starts with tiny changes. Changes so small no one else might notice, but to you, they are silent revolutions. You stop being the one to text first. You stop feeling guilty for setting boundaries. You stop silently tolerating disrespect just because you're afraid of being abandoned. And each small action, each time you choose to love yourself instead of trying to please others, you are laying a new brick, one by one, in the foundation of your true self. Change doesn't come from anger. It doesn't come from a thirst for revenge. It comes from a new realization. You no longer want to waste your life on those who can't even see your real worth. You begin to understand that true love does not require you to sacrifice yourself. It does not make you live in anxiety. It does not ask you to shrink so that someone else can feel bigger, and so little by little you redirect your emotional investment. Instead of pouring your energy into seeking approval, you pour it into affirming yourself. Instead of chasing after others' acceptance, you learn to embrace the imperfect parts within you. You stop apologizing for your feelings. You stop arguing with those who aren't really listening. You stop trying to explain your worth to those who have already decided not to see it. A new kind of peace begins to seep into every corner of your life. Not because the world outside has changed, but because your inner world has shifted to a higher frequency. You begin choosing peace over empty promises. You begin choosing clarity over confusing, energy-draining relationships. You begin choosing yourself, not out of selfishness, but out of a healthy, mature love for who you are. The journey of rebuilding teaches you a precious truth. You don't have to contort yourself to be worthy of love. You don't have to try harder, be softer, or stay quieter just to earn acceptance. True love sees your worth even when you are not at your best. And so, step by step, you start letting go. You let go of the need to explain yourself. You let go of the need to be understood by everyone. You let go of the illusion that you must endure pain to deserve love. It's not surrender, it's liberation. And from the moment you start choosing yourself, choosing peace, choosing self-respect, choosing your own dreams, you step into an entirely new world, a world where you no longer beg for love. You become the embodiment of it, a world where you no longer seek external validation. Because your inner validation has become unshakable, you become the builder of your own life, not out of fear, not out of emptiness, but out of a deep gratitude that you chose to stand up, that you chose to be reborn. This journey isn't always easy. There will be days when you mourn what you lost. There will be lonely moments when you realize you are walking against the familiar current. But through it all, you will feel something you've never felt before, freedom, and you will finally understand it's not that they lost you, it's that you reclaimed yourself. Once you begin rebuilding yourself, a profound but quiet transformation takes place. You learn how to set boundaries, and that right there is the first undeniable sign that your new strength has awakened. For a super empath, setting boundaries at first can feel like a betrayal of their very nature, because you were taught, through wounds, through expectations, through past relationships, that love means giving without limit, that kindness means enduring, adventure-class victims, that loyalty means sacrificing yourself until there's nothing left. But we realize, without boundaries, kindness gets exploited. Without boundaries, love turns into a burden. Without boundaries, you become the one who wounds yourself the most. Boundaries aren't walls to shut the world out. Boundaries are bridges that protect the sacredness within you. And when you start building those first boundaries, something fascinating happens. Those who are used to overstepping them will feel threatened. The narcissist will push back. They'll try every tactic, making you feel guilty, accusing you of being selfish, playing the victim to make you doubt yourself. But make no mistake, their reaction does not mean you are wrong. In fact, it's proof you're finally doing it right. You are breaking the old dynamic, the one that allowed others to define your worth, to control your emotions, to consume your energy as if it were theirs to take. For the first time, you no longer ask for permission to exist. You assert your existence through action, by saying no when you need to, by remaining silent in the face of meaningless arguments, by walking away when respect is no longer present. And the beautiful part is, you don't need to explain yourself. Boundaries don't require anyone else's approval. They only require your unwavering commitment. At first, setting boundaries might feel painful. You'll face loneliness. You'll feel guilty. You'll question yourself. Am I being too harsh? But day by day, as you stand your ground, a quiet shift will happen within you. You will begin to feel safe within your own presence. You will realize that you don't have to accept conditional love. You don't have to sacrifice your self-respect to maintain any relationship. You don't have to endure chaos just to feel worthy. And the most incredible thing is, when you establish strong boundaries, you don't just push away those who were never meant for you. You create space for genuine connections to enter. You begin attracting those who respect you, cherish you, uplift you, those who don't ask you to break yourself just to keep them. Because, you see, someone who truly loves you will never require you to destroy yourself in order to keep them. They will honor your boundaries as an essential part of healthy love. They will see the strength within your gentleness. They will love you not for what you can endlessly give, but for who you are, whole and complete. Setting boundaries doesn't make you cold, it makes you clear. Setting boundaries doesn't diminish your kindness, it makes your kindness sacred, because it is now reserved for those who truly deserve it. Setting boundaries doesn't close your heart, it simply refuses to let it be trampled again. And you're walking through life carrying your boundaries, steady, calm, unapologetic. You are sending a message to the world. I know my worth, I respect it, and I will not trade it for anything. That is a strength no narcissist can ever reach. That is a flame no storm can ever extinguish. That is you, the super empath, awakened. After everything you've endured, after the times you forgave beyond your limits, after the nights you wrestled silently with self-doubt, after the endless battles fought within your own heart, there comes a day when you finally rise, not with rage, not with accusations or anger, but with a quiet, unshakable pride. The day you walk away is not the day you surrender. It's the day you reclaim ownership of your life. Walking away doesn't mean you didn't love. It doesn't mean you didn't try. It doesn't mean you're cold or indifferent. On the contrary, it's because you loved too deeply, gave too much, endured too long, that you finally understand. True love never demands the sacrifice of your soul. And when you realize staying is no longer a sign of patience, it is a betrayal of yourself. You stop trying to save something that stopped being love long ago. You stop clinging to empty promises and memories tainted by manipulation. You choose to let go, not because someone pushed you away, but because your heart deserves to be free. Walking away is not an act of rebellion. It's a silent declaration. I know my worth. I deserve unconditional love. I no longer ask for permission to exist in someone else's life. When you walk away, the narcissist may panic. They might try to pull you back with promises of change. They might wave memories of better days in front of you. They might play their final cards, guilt, pity, even threats. But this time, none of it works. Because you are not leaving to hurt them. You are leaving to heal yourself. You don't need to explain. You don't need to prove you're right. You don't need an apology, a confession, or a tearful regret. You only need yourself, walking away with a dignity that cannot be touched. The most beautiful part is, as you turn away, You carry no bitterness. You hold no hatred. You wish no harm. You carry only one thing with you, the belief that your peace is your highest priority from this day forward. And you know what? When you walk away in serenity, you're not just leaving a person behind. You're leaving behind the old patterns that imprisoned you. You're leaving behind the self-limiting stories you used to tell yourself. You're leaving behind every illusion that said you had to hurt yourself just to be loved. You are stepping into a new chapter where you no longer ask for permission to dream, to live, to love, to simply be. And there, with every step you take forward, there's a gentle whisper rising in your soul. I have come home, home to self-respect, home for inner peace, home to the most radiant version of yourself, no longer the one chasing love, no longer the one begging to be seen. You become the one who chooses life, chooses love, chooses yourself, because in the end, you realize the most sacred thing you can ever do in this life is to never abandon yourself again, and that is the highest victory. Walking away is the first moment of freedom, but healing and rebirth, that is the true journey that will lead you to where your soul was always meant to be. Because after you leave, after the old door closes, a new space begins to open, a space no longer filled with the noise of manipulation, a space where silence becomes your most trusted companion. He mentioned over 460 years of work. And in that silence, raw, whole, and more real than ever before. At first, healing doesn't come like a crashing wave against the shore. It comes quietly, slowly, like the first rays of sunlight breaking through the night. Some days you will feel strong. Some days you will break down in tears, missing, mourning, hurting. And that's okay, because healing is not a straight line. It is a winding path, full of highs and lows. But every tear you shed is no longer a sign of weakness. Every moment you sit with your pain is no longer a defeat. It is evidence of your courage. You are doing the hardest thing a human being can do, learning to love yourself even while your heart is still bleeding. You begin to reclaim the forgotten parts of yourself, the little dreams you abandoned, the laughter you silenced during days of fear, the belief in your intrinsic worth, a worth no one else has the right to define but you. You allow yourself to slow down. You allow yourself to heal without needing to explain it to anyone. You allow yourself to rebuild your inner world brick by brick. This time not on the foundation of fear of abandonment, but on the foundation of love and deep self-respect. And then, day by day, moment by moment, you begin to feel something shift. Relief, freedom, a peace that no longer depends on anyone but yourself. You no longer need anyone to validate that you are enough. You no longer seek salvation from those who cannot even save themselves. You no longer feel lonely in the silence, because you have become the safest home your soul could ever ask for. You have journeyed from victim to warrior to creator of your own life, a person no longer defined by what they have endured, a person no longer shaped by pain, a person who walks forward without looking back, because the future ahead burns brighter than anything left behind. That is rebirth. If you are on this journey, know this: you are not alone. Millions of souls across this world have struggled, hurt, lost, just like you. But they rose, they were reborn, and so will you. No one gets to define your worth but you. No one can steal your light unless you hand it over to hands unworthy. No one can halt your healing except you. Here I light your strength. You are the story that you and you alone will rewrite with your resilient hands. And I promise you this, on the other side of this pain is not emptiness. On the other side of this pain is a life more whole, more free, and more true than anything you've ever known. So walk forward, not with hatred, not with bitterness, but with the unshakable belief that you are worthy of a love that never asks you to betray yourself. And if today you find yourself taking small, shaky steps along this new path, remember, you are braver than you think, you are stronger than you know, and you are getting closer, step by step, to the greatest version of yourself. Because in the end, the journey isn't just about leaving someone else. The journey is about coming home to yourself.